Hey, what is up, Internet? This is Kyle with Slapshot Toys and Comics doing issue number 6 of the Pool List. Now, this is our weekly video where we go through all the comics on my pool list and do quick little spoiler-free reviews. Unfortunately, this week we have one of the most talked about books that I can honestly remember in quite some time. So most of these will not be as spoiler-free as I normally like them. So once you get to the Captain America, Steve Rogers #1 section, if you haven't read it, make sure you guys turn it off. I am going to go pretty in-depth with some of the spoilers and some of the things I feel about that book. But for the most part, I'm going to try to keep it as spoiler-free as I usually do. But like I said, we have one of the most talked about books in a while, so kind of have to go at least a little bit into depth about that one. But the books are all fantastic this week, so let's go ahead and take a look at them. The first book we're going to take a look at this week is The Amazing Spider-Man, issue 1.5. Now, this is part 5 of the Amazing Grace mini storyline that is taking part in Amazing Spider-Man right now. The story basically follows a man named Julio who dies and basically goes down to Mexico and is resurrected and has kind of come back as somewhat of a savior. A lot of people in the city are starting to kind of follow him, and this brings a lot of kind of concern and questioning from Spider-Man. So this is the part 5 of that story arc where things are starting to really get ramped up to another level. We see Julio really kind of starting to embrace this savior type role to the point where he's almost causing a massive car crash in the middle of New York, only to go in and save one of the people who passed away during that car wreck. Obviously all the news outlets and things like that are hailing him as a savior, and if it wasn't for him, a lot more people would have died. Spider-Man obviously doesn't think this is true, as well as the other group of superheroes that were kind of against Spider-Man, or Spider-Man was against them, in the Sanitarians. They've all kind of realized they're on the same team, and there's something a lot more sinister going on than just a man who believes that he was raised to help other people. They're starting to kind of see that there's a false god, as they call it, in the book that has almost possessed him and is going to try to bring upon something cataclysmic upon New York City. This storyline, when it first started, I really wasn't that into it. I thought it was kind of weird. It didn't really grab me, but I'll tell you what, as it went along, it's been absolutely fantastic. The last 2 pages of this are awesome. There's a little cameo by Tony Stark / Iron Man in this, which is really cool. The art is still kind of just okay in my opinion. I really love the splash page at the very end. Sets up the final chapter, which is part 6, extremely well. I'm extremely excited for it. But yeah, as this story has went along, it's definitely hooked me a lot more, and I'm actually really liking it right now, and I can't wait to see how it's going to end in the finale. But this issue was just another fantastic build-up as we see differences being resolved, and the good guys kind of forming their team as they're going to need it, obviously, with what Julio is able to do now. So overall, I think this was a really good issue. I'm really excited to how it's building up. So I give this part 5 an 8.0. The next book we are going to take a look at is the absolute firestorm that is the internet right now, and that is Captain America Steve Rogers #1. Now, normally I'm trying to be as spoiler-free as possible on my reviews, but unfortunately with this book, it's just not going to be possible. So if you haven't read it or haven't seen one of the 10 million posts online about it, I recommend you guys go ahead and stop watching unless you don't care to have it spoiled for you. Just kind of an overview. This book just kind of sets up the new Captain America team. So we have, obviously, Steve Rogers, after standoff, has been reverted back to his youthful self. He's teamed up with Commander Carter, as well as Free Spirit and Jack Flag, and Whisperer as their kind of tech guru. And they've kind of made their own little task force team here. And we see Captain America and his team tracking down a hijacked train that has a man strapped a bomb to his chest and is planning to blow it up. So obviously we see him trying to stop this effort. It also takes a look at the man, it flashes back to the man that has the bomb strapped to his chest, kind of showing how he became a part of Hydra. Which is kind of hard to read in a lot of aspects. It makes you a little bit uncomfortable. Nick Spencer is a person, whether you like it or not, puts a lot of his own political views into his stories. I don't really necessarily agree with everything that he writes, but it's his prerogative as the writer to write what he wants. I do wish he would leave some of the political stuff out of it, but he's going to do what he wants. So that's a bit hard to kind of read as we see the young man and why he kind of joins Hydra. And then we also have in this issue a flashback to Steve Rogers as a child. So we see his mother being abused by his father, just wanting a better life for them all. As they are outside and he is kind of roughing her up, they meet a kind of mysterious woman, Alyssa Sinclair. She kind of stops Steve's father from hurting Sarah and takes him out to dinner. They start kind of talking politics. One thing leads to another, and this mysterious Alyssa gives her a pamphlet, which obviously is going to a Hydra meeting, talking about wanting to make New York a better place. This is extremely kind of, I guess, foretelling because, and here's the biggest spoiler, at the very end of the issue, Captain America is chasing down Zemo. There's kind of a split between Zemo and Red Skull. Red Skull is kind of trying to take over Hydra again. Zemo still sees it as his. He's wanting to go after Red Skull. Then all of a sudden Captain America shows up and is trying to chase down Zemo. They get into a bit of a tussle. Jack Flag jumps into the aircraft helicarrier that, or Quinjet, whatever it is, that Captain America is apprehending Zemo, and then Captain America says he really wishes he didn't have to do this and throws Jack Flag out of the plane, and his next words are, "Hail Hydra." Now, this is as you can probably tell in the internet, people are losing their minds over this. How in the world is Captain America a Nazi? Why in the world would they do this? As someone who has read everything, I've read all the Sam Wilson books. I have read all the Standoff books. I guess looking at it, I don't necessarily feel that Hydra is an identity, is an organization whose identity, I think it for a long time ago lost the Nazi, I guess, tag for me personally. I know that during, like in the movie and things like that, they were portrayed as the Nazis. But if you really look at the history of it, even Baron von Strucker, when he formed Hydra, yes, was part of the Nazi Party. However, when he was forced to kill an entire village, he didn't want to do that, and he actually disbanded from the Nazi Party. And I think over the years, I don't necessarily think Hydra has been written. Yes, it's an evil organization, but it's more like a kind of a socialist, I guess, kind of party more than I guess the Nazi Party. And I guess in my mind, I'm able to differentiate those two ideas. So in my mind, Hydra has always just been a global domination terrorist threat, not necessarily something directly tied to Nazism. But that's only my personal opinion. I can only speak to what I think. So in my mind, and also looking at what's happened in the previous issues of Captain America, Sam Wilson, and a couple of the other books, and especially Standoff, S.H.I.E.L.D. hasn't been on the up and up. They tried to do Pleasant Hill, which everyone was against. They didn't want the cosmic cube fragments to be used in any sort of way, but S.H.I.E.L.D. and the government are as cocky as they can be, and they just say, you know what, we don't care what you think, we're going to try to do this anyway, and then prove you wrong. And then obviously in Standoff, that went massively haywire, and Steve was frustrated with them. He was extremely angry with them because he told them this was not a good idea. There's been a lot of confrontation between Sam and Steve anyway as well. So I don't necessarily think, I know a lot of people are saying that Steve is always, Steve has always been a part of Hydra. I don't know if that's necessarily the case. I view it as, we don't know where the story is going. Nick Spencer has this whole story. This is issue number 1. It's 1 page. Who knows where in the world this is going other than Nick Spencer and the fellow editors at Marvel. So I look at it as, maybe his mom had ties with Hydra, and now that S.H.I.E.L.D. has gone off Captain America has always been about the people. So if Shield's doing things wrong, maybe he thinks the best option right now is to work with Hydra to kind of take down Shield. I don't think this is, and I don't think he's automatically going to be some Hydra super agent or anything like that. Like, it's not all of a sudden he's just going to turn against the United States or anything like that. But I mean, what if that's his best chance to take down kind of the corruption in Shield right now, and then he turns around and takes down Hydra as well? I think, and then also we could look at it as maybe those, Kubrick or whatever her name is still out there. And obviously we've seen in Avengers Standoff, she can rewrite reality as she wants it. I think there's something a lot more here than they're just saying, oh, Steve Rogers is now Hydra and is now a Nazi. I think that's too simple to look at it, and I would probably guess that most of the people complaining about this know nothing about the comics, and they haven't read this. They haven't read any of the Sam Wilson stuff, any of the Avengers Standoff stuff. They're only going off the movie, or they're just seeing what other people are saying, and they're just going off on it. As far as a reader, like I said, I enjoyed it. I think Nick Spencer did a really good job. Pushing buttons. I was uncomfortable reading it. Captain America is one of my favorite heroes. I don't want to see him hailing Hydra or being part of the villain organization. But it has me so intrigued. There's no way I'm not missing number 2. And I think that's what a good artist does, is, they push buttons, they push boundaries, they make you feel uncomfortable, they make you think things that you normally wouldn't. And honestly, I don't mind that in a Marvel book. I think we get so many Marvel books that are just cut and dry, good guy, bad guy, when there's so much more to it than that. And I'm okay with this. And I think I don't always agree with Nick Spencer. Most of the time, actually, I don't. But as an artist, this is something he chose to do. And you know what? It worked. I was entertained. I'm picking up number 2. I think it was a overall really good issue. So that's it. I am going to get off my soapbox here. Like I said, I was able to view it the way I did. Hopefully other people will give it a chance as well, but we'll see. So like I said, I enjoyed it. I'm picking up number 2. It's on my pool list. Overall, I think this is fairly well written. Like the art a lot, like the new design for Cap. So overall, I give this an 8.0 out of 10. All right, so let's get back to fun things. And what better fun thing than Spider-Man Deadpool number 5? Now, this series has been a lot of fun. Basically, Deadpool has been hired by a mysterious contractor to kill Peter Parker. And to do this, he also is trying to be best friends with Spider-Man, but he doesn't know that Spider-Man and Peter Parker are the same person. So at the end of issue number 4, spoilers, he does kill Peter Parker. We find out that in issue 5 that he killed him, and now he's basically going to hell to torture his soul because he thinks he's a sadistic madman. And then he finds out that Parker's soul isn't in hell, and he can't explain it. So he goes back to Parker's apartment, loft, whatever it is, finds out that, Parker's still dead. He's right there where he left him. So he kills him again, hoping that Parker's soul will go to hell, where he can actually go and torture him for all the crimes that Deadpool thinks he's committed. We find out that Parker, is in limbo, basically, and his soul has been stolen by a mysterious villain, which is absolutely a fantastic twist. I'm not going to give out who the villain is if you guys haven't read it, but it's just really cool to see that this villain has basically used his powers to be able to reach back to Earth to hire Deadpool to kill him so he could steal this soul. Deadpool, very confused, ends up trying to kill himself, only to try to find out where Parker is in limbo. Once Deadpool does find him, he is able to see that Parker's soul is actually extremely clean, and Deadpool can't believe it. So Deadpool then in turn realizes he's made a huge mistake and tries to, as best as he can, to get Peter Parker's soul back to Earth, as well as his own. So this is just a ton of fun. The art in this is outstanding. I absolutely love it. I love I'm kind of Deadpooled out as far as his solo books. I actually did just drop them off my list, but I absolutely love this team up between Deadpool and Spider-Man. So I will continue reading this one as well. But this is just a fantastic issue. It's just a lot of fun. No politically charged writing, no huge secrets everybody's upset about. Just a lot of fun with Spider-Man and Deadpool. And I love the mysterious villain reveal. And like I said, the art is phenomenal. So overall, I give this one an 8.5 out of 10. The next book we are going to take a look at is DC Rebirth #1. And I'll be very honest, I'm not a huge DC guy. The only books I follow from DC are Batman. I used to follow Deathstroke and Swamp Thing, but I'm just not I've never been a huge DC Universe hero collector. As you can tell by most of my reviews, it's all mainly Marvel. But with DC going through this whole Rebirth phase, I just really wanted to jump on board and kind of see where they're taking their characters, especially Batman, as I will obviously continue to collect all the Batman issues I can. So some of this I really maybe didn't understand the best just because I don't read all their books. But this is DC's attempt to kind of restart their whole universe, much like Secret Wars, like Marvel did with Secret Wars, only they did it all in one 80-page issue instead of 9 issues, much like Secret Wars. But basically we have Wally West trapped in the Speed Force, trying his absolute best to get anyone to remember him. What has happened is when Barry Allen went back in time to save his mother from Reverse Flash, he created this flashpoint that has basically wiped out the memories and rewritten history of all the major DC Universe characters. So he is trying as desperately as he can to get someone to remember him so he can actually be pulled out of the Speed Force and hopefully correct this rift that has kind of torn the universe apart and has caused all these heroes to forget and rewrite all these histories. Like I said, because I'm not a huge DC guy, I don't really know everything that's going on, but this was a lot of fun. Not fun, but this definitely kept my attention. And I read the an 80-page book in maybe 5 minutes. Like I couldn't put it down. I wanted to see what happened next. So I think DC has done an absolute fantastic job. Especially hooking in a non-DC reader. I'm definitely very excited and very curious about how they're going to restart their whole universe and where they're taking characters. So in that aspect, I think they did a phenomenal job. The art is fantastic. It's pretty consistent. It's split up into, I believe, 5 different chapters, each one with a different writer and artist. There's a little differences between each chapter, but nothing too major. But I think overall they did a fantastic job. I'm really excited to see where Rebirth goes. So overall, I will give this a 9 out of 10. All right, so now we're going to take a look at our pick of the week, and that is Star Wars #19. I am absolutely loving the Star Wars series, and I think that this last arc at Sunspot Prison has been one of the best that they have done. It's really put Princess Leia in kind of a tight spot where you kind of really see her make some tough decisions. So this is the final chapter to this arc, and we have our mysterious kind of hitman still going through Sunspot Prison, letting out the prisoners, killing as many as he can, and really trying to force Leia into a very tough spot. The reveal does happen here of who exactly this hitman is and what exactly he wants. And if you've read the annual, you will know who this character is. And he's really trying to force Leia to make these tough decisions because he feels and he thinks that there's absolutely no way that the rebellion under Leia's command will have any chance at beating the Empire. So he's really trying to make her look at herself and be like, are you going to be willing to make these tough decisions? Are you actually going to be able to pull the trigger when the time comes? Or are you going to be kind of a pushover and be soft? So it's a really kind of interesting character development on Leia and seeing being forced into these situations. Is she going to kind of conform to what he wants, or is she going to stick to everything she's believed in and everything she has previously taught other characters? We also see a little bit of a relationship dynamic between Sana and Afria. It doesn't really go too much depth, but there's definitely something there that is definitely going to build and definitely going to come to light at some point. Make it just a little bit unblurry. As you can kind of see, there was a past relationship between the two in this issue. Art is fantastic. Like I said, this is one of my favorite books. I love the Star Wars series, and I just hope it continues at this high of a level. But this one is definitely a 9.0 out of 10 and does make it our pick of the week. So that is going to do it for issue number 6 of the pool list. I want to thank you guys so much for checking out this video and bearing with me there during my little Captain America rant. I know everybody else has their opinion out online, so I just wanted to kind of throw out my 2 cents. I thought it'd be kind of fun to talk about what I felt. Let me know in the comments what you guys thought. If you guys like Captain America, if you guys absolutely despised it, if you threw it away, anything. Love to talk any sort of comics with you guys. So just let me know anything in the comments. Comments are always welcome. If you guys are liking this video, make sure you guys go ahead and hit that like button and go ahead and subscribe. That way you guys don't miss out on future issues of the pool list and all the action figure reviews I will be posting. I have 2 hot toys hopefully I'll have within the next month, I believe is when Sideshow says they're going to ship. So hopefully I'll have those up here real soon. Got a couple of Diamond Selects. I think I may actually post one this evening after I post this. So make sure you guys be on the lookout for that. But go ahead and subscribe so you guys don't miss any of that content. And I want to thank you guys so much for checking out these videos. And that will do it for me for now. So I will catch you guys later. See ya.